Management has an opportunity to assess and evaluate a new employee, and at the end of that 3-month period, management can make a decision about whether to offer a permanent position to that individual without cause, with or without cause. The new contract extends that probationary period to 1 year. The last important change to the custodial contract would involve the fact that there will be new lead custodial positions. Presently, each of the secondary schools, that being middle and high school, have a head custodian, and both sides felt that it was appropriate to provide some level of coordination to the 3 elementary schools. So there will be, these aren't new positions, these are new designations for existing custodians to provide kind of coordination for the 3 elementary schools. That, Mr. Chairman, is a quick summary of the custodial contract.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Mr. Webster?
I just want to comment. Definitely, it's difficult times. Difficult times continue. Some of the public might say 1.75% raise for each of the 3 years isn't bad, but I think we had a very good negotiation sessions from everything I heard, and the fact that the group is compromising with us in terms of sick leave buyback and the sick bank, and also the probationary period. I think it's a very fair contract that we've got with the group, and I congratulate the negotiating team for
that hard work.
I get this a lot from around town and from colleagues, employees, people that I work with. They say, why can't you just cut out the sick leave buyback altogether? Why can't you just cut these benefits? And not to make excuses for the current committee, but these things have been in place in some cases for 10, 15, 20 years.
Longer, some for longer than that.
And it would be ideal if we could just go in and cut them all out and maybe increase compensation. But it's something that's going to take place over time, and I think we're working on that. I think that our employee groups are well aware of those issues. They read the newspaper also, and they know the issues that exist in terms of affording, the long-term benefits such as retirement, health care, and sick day buyback when employees retire. And they're actually coming to the table and working with us, so that's a positive.
And this theory of trying to regain some of these benefits that have been granted over the years, it's consistent with what the town side is doing too. So
yes.
We're on the same track, and that's our goal as we move forward in some of these negotiations.
I also wanted to, special thanks to Mr. Bowers, who was a member of the negotiating team.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. One of you also clarify the whole step increase process, because I think we did a lot of that while they're getting an increase, but then some are qualified for a step increase, and that almost gives them a double raise. So maybe one of you can clarify.
Yeah, I think most of our custodians are close to or on the top step. But we do, as Mr. Kashaki says, we do have, in almost all our contracts, I don't know if, in almost all our contracts we have steps that are built into the contract. So they're automatic increases is what they are. And that has also been a debate not only in this town, but it's being debated throughout the state of Massachusetts and probably throughout the country in terms of having steps and also having that raise, a cost of living raise, makes the budget increases unsustainable. And that's an issue that's going to be continued. We have to continue to work on that because, from most of the contracts, except for the teachers, have a fairly low number of steps. The teachers have 12 steps, is it? 10
yes.
steps?
Yes.
So Mr. Kashakshi's right, and that's something that there's actually been some proposals. I saw one from a school committee out in, I think, the western part of the state, talking about ways to work to slowly eliminate those step raises and just have an annual raise for be it teachers, paraprofessionals, and I think that's something that...
But there's going to be a cost associated with
Right.
that, and that's going to require some further discussion and probably a future meeting because
Yeah.
it applies across the board.
Right.
So,
But it's an issue that does cause us an issue every year with at budget time.
I think it's important to realize that in each one of these cases, we're dealing with a total compensation package that includes salaries and all of the benefits, and that we need to look at that as a total package. And when we take away one piece, we have to put something back to make it equivalent. It's also totally unfair to suddenly remove some part of a part that has been negotiated over a past period of time that has some reason why it was there. It was in lieu of compensation or something in the past.
But the step raise is a particular complicated issue that's going to take a fairly complicated solution, so I'm not sure we can solve that tonight. But, okay, and just,
Unless we hire people at the top step.
and we've signed a memorandum of understanding. The school chair has signed it, and the president of the Custodians Association has signed it.
Yes.
It now has to be ratified by their membership. Is that
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
We don't vote tonight?
I think we already voted on this, didn't we?
We voted on the memorandum, but didn't we say we'd vote again on the contract?
I know this process has gotten complicated due to the manner in which ASME wishes to. The next step is for them to ratify the full 50-page agreement. They are now studying that to make sure that the memorandum of agreement language was properly subsumed within the master contract. Once they've done that, they'll send it out for ratification, and we will be asked, the chair will be asked then to sign the master contract. I leave it to you to determine how many votes you need at each step along the way.
Well, did we vote already to approve the
We voted
memorandum of understanding?
on the memorandum of understanding, but we didn't vote on the contract,
Okay.
which is, the memorandum of understanding is part of the contract.
And again, it's what comes first in the cart or the horse. If they have to go to ratification, we haven't seen the actual contract yet, no.
Right.
We've only seen.
No, I'm
the
saying
memorandum of understanding.
we vote on it eventually, that's.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to vote on the contract
That's all I'm-
eventually.
okay.
And it may be, Kyle, the best thing to do is get us a copy of the contract once it's
Okay.
fully drafted,
Right.
and then we can vote on that.
Right,
Then we know what we're
right,
voting on,
that's-
because right now, we're in the same position as the membership, they're gonna look at
Right.
the actual contract, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Food service contract, we have that on the
Yes,
agenda
we do.
tonight as well. And again, I'm gonna ask Mr. Nelson to discuss the terms of the food service contract.
Well, it's appropriate that we're sitting here in the cafeteria. We are pleased to report a tentative agreement with the Food Service Association, once again represented by ASME. Once again, Mr. Bowers sat in on the negotiation along with Superintendent Willis. This is a contract that once again begins this July 2011 and runs through June 30, 2014. The salary increase is identical to that was negotiated with the custodians, that being 1.75% over the next 3 consecutive years. But in addition, there were other benefit changes that I'd like to briefly describe. First being vacation. We have effectively reduced the employee vacation coverage by 50% for new employees hired. The present employees will continue to receive the benefit that they presently have, and the new employees will go down by about 50%. The sick leave buyback is identical to the language change that we just described in the custodial contract, that being that employees hired subsequent to July 1st, 2011 will be subject to a 20% per diem salary payment with a 150-day maximum for those who retire from the system. It's important to note that's upon retirement, not resignation. In addition, we are making, that's really, there are some minor language changes about functions that really has no financial consequence. We spent a fair amount of time discussing what constitutes a function. What happens is food service employees receive an hourly wage for performing functions pertaining to student school lunch. From time to time, they provide function coverage, for example, for certain activities that take place during the year for large groups. We more carefully define what is considered a function versus school lunch work. And that, Mr. Chairman, is a summary of the memorandum of agreement.
Okay, and I know we have a draft memorandum of agreement. If we voted to approve the terms of the, okay, so we're gonna need to vote to approve the terms of the agreement, so that can be executed by myself and by the union. And then again, I think it's gonna have to be incorporated into language changes in the contract and ratified. And then after that, we can come back and approve the actual terms of the contract. So do I have a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding for the food services agreement?
So moved.
Okay, how about a second? Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Arricchetti and a second by Mr. Webster. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries by a vote of 5 to nothing.
Job again, Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff, good work. Do a lot of work. You really do. It's a good thing we're not paying you.
He's carrying us.
You'd be on overtime.
4-hour minimum.
Bills and payroll, I believe we have circulated, everybody signed, because
Yes,
otherwise the office will be calling us tomorrow, so make sure you sign.
Although they won't.
Minutes, we have the executive session minutes from April 11th. I believe we did have some issue with that, and some changes to be made. Has anybody reviewed? No?
The only thing I saw was, there was, from the executive session and the open session, on the open session, it says we started the executive session at 6:31, and on the executive session, it said we started at 6:34.
But why are we doing the executive session tonight?
Because you didn't have 3 to vote last time.
Oh, I got you, that's right.
Oh, wait, these are different.
Yeah.
Never
it's on
mind.
second.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we have the executive
It's
session.
fine.
I wouldn't make the motion because I arrived late and I
I'll,
could not actually.
that's right. I'll make a motion to approve the executive session minutes of April 11th, 2011.
Do we have a second? Mr. Bauer seconds. Mr. Webster's motion, Mr. Bauer seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. One abstention. I was absent on the 11th.
No,
okay?
there are 2 because I wasn't there for.
Okay,
the-
so the vote is 3
3-0.
in favor of, none opposed, 2 abstentions. And we have the minutes from the April 25th executive session.
Oh, wait a minute. On the April 25th executive session, at the top of the page, it says 6:32 p.m. And for the open session minutes that night, it says the executive session began at 6:31 p.m.
You know what?
Right here. 6:32.
I'm starting to dislike
Really?
it.
31? Well, you gotta get it.
It's got to be consistent. Let's say
Let's say 6:31 and a half.
30 seconds.
No, we'll say 6:32.
Okay.
I think it was 6:32 because we were.
Any other issues?
Well, so that means executive is okay.
6:31.
Right.
No, yeah, executive's okay.
So
Right.
we're doing the executive ones right now.
Right. I'll make a motion to approve April 25th executive session.
As written.
And I
Do we
will
have a
second
second? We have a motion by Mr. Webster and a second by Ms. Arricchetti. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries by a vote of 5 to 0. We have the April 25th open session minutes.
I reviewed these pending that little change. There was nothing in
No,
there.
I agree.
Mel, did you
Nothing.
see anything?
Except for
Okay.
changing 6:31 to 6:32.
So amended, the
To
April,
6:31.
will move to approve the April 25th open session minutes.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Arricchetti, a second by Mr. Webster. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries by a vote of 5 to 0. We have the May 9th executive session minutes.
I read these, I did not find anything. Mel?
I'll make a motion to approve May 9th executive session.
Motion to approve by Mr. Webster.
Second.
Second by Ms. Arricchetti. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries by a vote of
No, one abstention.
4 to 0. 4-0, 1 abstention. In our May 9th open session,
I found nothing.
Nothing.
These were the most perfect minutes ever.
Wow.
Miss Recording Secretary.
that's fantastic.
I mean, these were, other than that 1 minute, you were off by 1 minute. Other than that, they were perfect. Oh, that's Superintendent Willis. Oh, wait, can I have the evaluation form?
No.
please?
And we have to give Ann Lizelle her credit due to.
Yes, a lot of work there.
Now, she's going to be looking for a raise now.
Oh, that's right.
Mel, would you make the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve May 9th open session minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Webster and a second by Ms. Sarah Kenny to approve the May 9th minutes. Any further discussion?